Welcome to the WCF Developer Screencast series. My name is Aaron Sconard and I work for Pluralsight, a training company that provides both instructor-led and online courses for Microsoft developers. Visit pluralsight.com for more details. In this short screencast, I'm going to show you how to host WCF services within traditional Windows services. I'm going to jump back here to the same solution and add a new project. The project type is going to be a Windows service, and I'll call this thing Windows Service Host in this case. Now this project template will give me the basic structure that I need for implementing a Windows service. If I switch to code view here, you'll see I have a class called Service1 that derives from Service Base, and it's already overridden on start and on stop. Now let me jump back to the design view and come over here to the property page, and I'm going to change the name of this thing right here. I'm going to call it Eval Service Host. And down here below, I'll also change the service name to Eval Service Host. Okay, now if I jump back to my code view, you'll see it changed the class name for me, and it changed things in a few other places as well. Okay, now I'm actually ready to implement the service host capabilities here within this class. So I'm going to need to add a few references to this project. I'll add a reference to system.serviceModel for WCF. And I'll also add a reference to the Eval Service Library project. That's where the implementation of our service lives. Okay, now inside of this class, I'm going to have a member variable called host, bring in the namespace for service model, and it's just going to go ahead and construct a new service host based on the type of eval service. And let me bring in the namespace for the Eval Service Library. Okay. So we're going to construct our service host instance when this class is instantiated. And then down here inside of onStart, I'll simply call host.open. And inside of stop, I'll call host.close. I'm just going to keep things really simple. I'm not going to do a lot of error handling for this particular demo. Now what I need to do is define an app.config file to contain the endpoint and behavior definitions for eval service. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back up here to our console host application, and I'm going to copy the app.config found in this one down here to our Windows Service Host. Let me come in here and take a look at it. I'm going to go ahead and let all these endpoints be defined like we had before. And I do want to have a service metadata behavior, so let me go ahead and add that back in. So we'll have a service metadata behavior with HTTP get enabled equals true. And this behavior is being applied to this service right here. Okay, so we have our eval service, which is configured with this behavior, the metadata behavior, and 3 endpoints, 2 that use HTTP and 1 that uses TCP. Okay, at this point, we need to add an installer to this project. So I'm going to jump back here to the design view, right-click, and select Add Installer. And I'm going to click on the Service Process Installer and change the user account to Local System. This is a higher privilege account, built-in account on Windows. I wouldn't normally use this in production, but for the purposes of this demo, it will simplify a few things. It'll allow that service to register those HTTP endpoints with HTTP sys. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to build the project, build succeeded, and now I'm ready to actually install this thing and test it. To test this Windows service, I'll need to install it first. So I'm going to bring up a command prompt in admin mode. And I'm going to go ahead and move into the directory here where this thing lives. It's in our Windows Services Host directory, bin debug, and there's the executable, Windows Service Host.exe. And I'm going to use the install util utility, and I'm going to pass in Windows Service Host.exe. Now let me open up services.msc so we can inspect the services in the MMC snap-in here. And let me scroll down to see if we can find our eval service host. There it is. Now notice if I open this thing up, you'll see right now it's configured to use manual startup mode. The service is currently stopped, but I can start it right here. Go to log on, you'll see it's using the local system account. We specified that when we created this thing, and there's various other things in here that we can specify on this service to control how it's actually hosted and executed. Well, if I just want to start this thing, I can click on it and press start. Now, hopefully, our service is up and running. Let me open up Windows Explorer and type in the address to localhost 8080 evals. And notice we got the documentation page and we can indeed get the WSDL. Let me jump back over here, right-click on this thing and select Stop. Now let me come back and do a Control F5 to see if we can get that WSDL definition again. Notice now it's no longer there. So now we have this control panel interface to start and stop the service. So let's go ahead and start that thing up again. Let me jump back over here to our solution. Let's go to our client and let's refresh this service instance. I'm going to just select Update Service Reference. We used the same metadata address for the Windows service host, so it got it from the same location. Now if I come to my app.config, we should see all three of those endpoints back in there, and there they are. And let's invoke the TCP endpoint in this case. So I'll grab that guy, jump back over here to our code, and change that to use the TCP endpoint. Now our client is set as the startup project, so if I press Control F5 to run this thing, notice number of evals is 1. Let's run it again, see if it increments. Now it's 2. Okay, and that is indeed talking to this eval service hosted within this Windows service. Thank you for watching this video in the WCF Developer Screencast series. You can find more in-depth online training videos at Pluralsight.com. Pluralsight offers an extensive library of online training courses covering a variety of current and emerging Microsoft technologies, and you can access this valuable content from anywhere, anytime within just a few clicks, while still learning from industry experts you trust. Check it out today at Pluralsight.com.